Radical! Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. Each week, join the gnarly Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print on demand industry and equip you with the totally tubular tools, advice, and strategies you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now on to this week's Totally Tubular show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. It is great to have you all with us and great for us to be with you in your car, in your home, in your kitchen, in the bathroom, while you're showering, whatever you're doing or you're listening to this. I don't want to get too much more invasive, but we're happy to be with you. Thank you for pressing play and downloading and subscribing to the show. My name is Josiah, in case you are unaware of who this person is that is talking to you endlessly. And my co-host for this episode and every episode in the past and for the future of the Print on Demand cast is Travis Ross, coming to us live from Make Your Mark Design Studios in Broomfield, Colorado. Travis, how the hell are you? How's your week? Happy Monday. What's the haps? Are you over your post Hawaii blues depression? What's that look like? Fill us in.
Someone asked me that actually yesterday, and they were like, "Hey, are you having post Hawaii blues?" And I'm like, "Not really. It's fine,
Yeah, post depression.
Yeah, we had a great weekend. My band played in Colby, Kansas, which is like 3.5 hours away from here, and I don't know why our bass player, who books all of our gigs, decided that it would be a good idea to book us a gig.
You
3.5 hours away
this weekend?
Yes, I did. I went to Kansas on Friday.
I saw that post on your guys' social media, and I thought, that's weird. I wonder if they have like a house band in Kansas but no, you all went to Kansas.
That's right. Yep, we went to Kansas and we played at the diviest of dive bars. It was super fun / weird / fun. I don't know. Didn't get back to our so they actually paid for our hotel room, which was cool. They paid us and then they paid it for our hotel room. Nice. We didn't get to our hotel room until 3:30 a.m. and then left at 8 a.m. to come back to Colorado. All the while, that whole hour shift thing just really screws you up.
My gosh.
Needless to say, I took a long nap on Saturday, but I do have to say this to my Arsenal loving friends. Saturday's game was now this is going to be like a week later because we've already got this week. Oh, darn. But if so on Saturday, March 4th, Arsenal played Bournemouth, and they were down 2-0 in the second half, and they came back and they hit a winner, the winning shot on probably the last kick of the game in the 98th minute. It was the most amazing win. And if you go on right now to like social media and you go Arsenal versus Bournemouth reactions, you can see hundreds of people on Twitter just melting down and screaming and breaking things and being ridiculous, all because of this 98th minute winner. But I watched that. And it was so funny. I was in my room or in my main room, and my wife was around the corner in the dining room, and she had been doing her nails because she doesn't care about soccer. And so I'm watching the game, and I'm like kind of down because we're losing. And then, we're coming back, and now it's 2-2. And then when we hit that 98th minute winner, I was screaming. I was, yes, I was so excited. And I'm like, my wife has to see this. She has to experience this with me. So I go around the corner, and I realize, even though I was screaming like as loud as I possibly could, and I realized as I go around the corner, she's talking to her parents on iChat or on the iPhone. She's having like a FaceTime talk with them, and that she had to explain that, well, Travis is a little crazy about Arsenal and blah blah blah. But anyway, I digress. Great weekend, great Arsenal win.
Yes,
and I did eventually get a nice, really nice nap Saturday afternoon. So yeah, man, I'm flying high, baby.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I think I think we talked about this in the Long Beach recap show, but I watched my first soccer game ever with you in the hotel room, and I thought you were passionate about Chiefs, but my God, it was an experience just to experience Travis watching the Arsenal, and it was like kind of a rivalry type thing. Like you hated the other team more than usual.
Oh yeah,
And
we
it
were playing
was
Tottenham. Yeah, we hate them.
It was. Whew, it was an experience for sure. So yeah, I can't imagine what that scenario produced out of you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, that's way too much banter for
Yeah,
the actual interview that we have because it's really long.
it
But
is.
man, it was so good, wasn't it, Josiah?
Yeah, it was great. We went into this not knowing a lot about, Chipley. You guys probably see this in the title that's the software, the product that Lynn is a part of. And I mean, before we pressed record, I literally said, what's Chipley? And you're like, I don't know. And we had a very vague recollection of meeting the salesperson for Chipley in
Mhm.
Long Beach, and so kind of connected those dots. But all of that to say, post interaction, post interview, as we're recording this intro, it was really, really good and a really
Yeah.
fascinating story and a fantastic product.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to give anything away, and we're already long, so we'll talk more about it in the outro.
Yeah,
Let's just go ahead and throw this to the
yeah.
main event. What do you say?
Yeah, it's time to get down to the nitty gritty, shall we? Let's go to this week's main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, the main event.
All right, Travis, this week for the main event, we have an interview with Lynn Burghardt. Now, Lynn is a fifth-generation owner of Burghardt Sporting Goods in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as well as president of Chipley. Her firsthand experience in the sporting goods industry gives her an in-depth understanding of the industry. She was inspired to help create Chipley Webstore, building platform, and share it with her dealer peers. She is passionate about the relationship she's been able to foster with sporting goods owners, team salespeople, and vendors through the introduction of new technology, cooperative advancement, and common growth objectives. Lynn's mission with Chipley is to provide a platform of technology and service to team sporting goods dealers that will enhance the daily operation of their business and thus speed up their growth and trajectory. So I cannot wait to dig into the details of all of that and ask the questions. So in order to do that, we need to bring on our guest, Lynn Burghardt. Lynn, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule there in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and joining the Print on Demand cast. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This will be super fun.
Yeah, we're glad you.
She told. Well,
Go
I
ahead,
was
Josiah.
letting the listener know before we press record. Lynn gave us a pretty strict mandate that we had to be fun during this interview because our reputation had preceded us, I suppose, as it were. So we'll do our best to dial up the shenanigans and fun even more if that's possible.
Great. Yep, all true. This is not what I normally do during my day, so this is the fun after hours part, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and apparently no one told you could bring beer, so we
Yeah, it's
apologize
like
in
beer
advance
30.
for that.
Yeah, that's
I'm
that's
still
all
like
now.
at work in the office. I should have been doing this one from home. But
It doesn't stop me.
No
I
worries.
got the beer right here.
Yeah.
go right ahead. Yep.
Well, we'll probably talk about this. We haven't recorded the intro yet. We'll probably speak to this a little bit, but we actually met Chipley or were introduced to your company at the ISS Long Beach trade show. And we met a guy named Chris who was at the show, and we talked to him, and we actually asked him to tell us a dad joke. And he completely dropped the ball and said, I don't have a dad joke, but I'll have one for you if you come back. So I think the next day we actually did come back to him, and we were like, give us a dad joke, and he's like, oh, I don't know. But, and I think Josiah said something, well, it'd be cool. Maybe we can get you on a podcast and you can tell us a dad joke then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Wonderful, wonderful. So I email him, say, hey, it's time to pay the piper. Come on our show. You can do the dad joke. And he passed the buck to Lynn. So I think before we get into all of the fun, all of the stuff of the, all of the,
nitty gritty. Yeah.
All the nitty gritty. Let's go ahead and do this week's weekly dad joke.
Let's do it.
Time for the weekly dad joke.
All right. So, what do you call a deer with no eyes?
I've no.
Deer.
No idea.
That's great.
it.
That's
It's very
yeah.
Wisconsin-y
I love it.
joke. So around
Yeah.
here, we,
Yeah.
you know.
That was great.
Okay. All right, so we've got one. You know, we wouldn't have you do a joke unless we were going to do one. So,
Oh, yes.
I actually, so I got our audience knows I got an opportunity to speak at ISS about print on demand, and just today I submitted the application to speak at the Fort Worth ISS show. And so I have this whole PowerPoint presentation. And so it made me think about this particular question that I'm going to pose to you guys. Why did the chicken click the PowerPoint presentation?
Why?
To get to the other slide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
nice.
That's a groaner. That's terrible.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
you could do a podcast of just dad jokes, I think.
Oh, we've thought about it.
Yeah, trust us. We went through a lot of ideations of what we could do before we landed on this particular show.
Maybe stick with this for a while,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. This seems to be working, so we'll go with that, and we'll just integrate our love of dad jokes into the show. Clearly, so so awesome. So, Lynn, you in your bio you mentioned that you are the owner, the 5th generation owner of Burghardt Sporting Goods in Milwaukee there. So you said that your experience in that industry kind of lends itself to the industry that you're in with Chipley. So tell us a little bit about how you got into kind of the printing industry, the print on demand industry, and how that, transition or addition of Chipley kind of came to be.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell an hour-long story, so I'll try and keep it as short as I can. But it is our Burghardt Sporting Goods business is 142 years old.
Wow.
So it's been
That's
obviously in my blood for my whole life. My dad is 82 years old. He shares an office with me still. And when I was growing up, as a little kid, I tagged along with my dad on Saturday mornings, and it felt like, I don't know, my memory of it is him always trying to find pieces of paper and putting out fires and trying to get things done, that should have already been done. He had a 3-level building, and the print shop in that building was on the 3rd floor. Wow. So and I remember that he just had one printer person that sort of managed that whole part of the business. And, I'm talking, I'm pretty old, so it was a long time ago. But that was my first memory of, being in the screen printing or heat press industry, and, helping out, cleaning screens, and just figuring out workflow mostly. So, yada, yada, yada. I, grew up in that business and watched my dad work really, really hard. I guess, what he would always say, I'm trying to quote him directly. He would say, well, yeah, of course it's hard. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it. Which I find very interesting, because it's true. This industry is difficult to be in, and especially difficult to make money. So, it's important now, as we're sort of evolving into this, 2023 and forward-looking version of the industry. Lots of things have changed. Lots of things are different. The customers are demanding so much more. And it makes it so much more important for us to, be mindful of what the customer will demand, and be able to say yes to that, without sort of backing ourselves into a corner. So, so I went to college. I did not go to work for my family business. Was sort of discouraged at the time, because
what was What did you go to college for? Sorry to interrupt.
Oh yeah, no. So I majored in psychology and Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very applicable.
Yes.
Really. I use it every day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I was also pre-med and I was supposed to go to medical school.
Okay.
And then I took a year off, which happens, and I got a job because my parents made me get a job. And so I started out working in sales, and I loved it, and started making money by accident. Was supposed to be working on going back to school. Ended up that I really love sales and I really love talking to people, and I love helping solve problems. So that job evolved into another sales job in banking, and I worked in banking for about 4 years before I actually ended up coming back and joining my siblings on the Burghardt side in about 2010. So I worked at Burghardt Sporting Goods. Well, what am I on now? What did that make me, like, this my 14th year or something?
Wow.
Yeah, 13th. Yeah. 2010 is 23. Yeah.
Yes.
So is Burghardt Sporting Goods a physical sporting goods store?
Yeah, so I'm sitting in a one of our 2 locations. It's a 80,000 square foot building,
Wow.
and we've moved to a couple locations throughout the history of our business. But yeah, so we have 2 retail locations that are about 25,000 square feet of retail actual hard goods. But those are a sort of door or storefront to the team sales or decorated apparel side of the business, which actually makes up about 75% of what they do. So the rest of the building is nobody knows it's back there. It used to be a Walmart, actually. So the back 3/4 of the building is all print and embroidery production and fulfillment and staging.
Wow.
So we get to see all of it.
What percentage of the hard goods that are actually on the floor retail sales do you produce? Is it a high percentage, or are you just like personalizing the existing inventory?
Yeah, so the Burghardt Sporting Goods business is unique in that we still have the retail presence, and the retail presence is not customized almost at all. So we're just a retail reseller. We sell like thousands and thousands of baseball bats and gloves. We have in-store batting cages and a performance center and stuff. On
Jerseys and things like that as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then that translates into the team side, which is like a totally separate business, really, which is where the print on demand and screen printing and decorated apparel, jerseys, even, regular T-shirts. Just because it's sporting goods doesn't mean sports teams are our only customer. Really, anybody that wants anything decorated is sort of the other half. So we found that like those 2 things, they jive with each other because our printed apparel customers have to come into the retail store, even if they don't need anything, which is awesome. And then learn about.
They might leave with something.
Well, exactly. And it's like name recognition. They know where we are. Whatever their whatever their phase is in life. They now they know that we exist. And then vice versa, where if you're a retail customer, you might be coming in to buy a bat and you had no idea you could get your family reunion T-shirts also at Burghardt's too. So it's kind of 2 things happening all under the same umbrella.
Now, this is the business kind of geek in me. I'm just curious, are they actually 2 different businesses, like from a books standpoint, all operating under kind of one umbrella, or have you been able to integrate them? Because it really is 2 different businesses.
Great question. Sometimes I think that they should be 2 different businesses, but they are one business. So that is that historical, 142-year-old business is a corporation, and it covers all of that team, retail, corporate, all that stuff. And then the Chipley business is a 100% totally different thing. Which Burghardt Sporting Goods is, a user of the Chipley software.
Got it. That makes sense. Wow. That's, I mean, I feel like we could have a whole
Yeah.
whole podcast on Burghardt, Sporting Goods. That's
Yeah.
so, I'm just
I love
intrigued. That's so
talking
cool.
about it. I love
Yeah.
talking about it. And, it is, you sort of asked in your question, like, how does that translate into what I do at Chipley now?
Sure.
So I technically I don't work for Burghardt's anymore. So in the last couple of years, I've transitioned to, being in team sales, to working through expediting web order processes and other logistical things on the Burghardt side, to working entirely 100% for Team Chipley.
Wow.
Okay.
So we, I don't know, should I just tell you the Chipley story really quick?
Yeah,
How
that's
that
kind of
happened?
next on the docket here is kind of
Cool.
like, how did Chipley get started, in the first place with you working at Burghardt and all of that. So yeah, fill us in.
Yeah, so in the sporting goods industry, which translates over to decorated apparel and now POD and all these different things, it's all sort of the same exact thing. In the sporting goods industry, the timeline sort of looked like this. So in about 2006 or so, customers were had the wherewithal to start asking for web stores or easier ways to submit orders versus just like
Sure.
sheets of paper or spreadsheets or whatever. So at Burghardt's, we had, my two brothers were working in team sales, and we had Angie, who is now the CEO of Chipley. She actually started as a customer of Burghardt and then evolved into an employee of Burghardt, and now an employee of Chipley. So she has a better story than I do, I think. But anyway, she was like, there should be an easier way to do this, this club ordering, or this, I've got lots of people that all want to place an order. Can't there be a better way to do it? And so we built, for her volleyball club specifically, this way to at least just collect an order on the internet, right? So that she wouldn't have to collect the information. So we did that. And that evolved into doing it a little bit better and getting a little bit more streamlined with it over the course of a couple of years, until all of a sudden we're like, okay, this is going to be something pretty big, and I think we should pursue it heavily. I think this is what customers are going to demand going forward. And so we did. We went, we had cobbled together our own platform at Burghardt's, and at, around 2011 or 12, we started looking around saying, okay, well, surely we're not the only people doing this, right? Other people out there have to have the same problems that we're having, and there's got to be a solution by now. So at that point, we did start shopping around and looking for solutions that could sort of help us, figure out how to say yes to customers all the time and collect orders easily and not work so damn hard. So we did, and we just couldn't find anything that was going to meet all of our needs. There wasn't, at the time, we couldn't figure out any particular one piece of software or solution that we thought was going to solve all of it. So we waited a little bit longer, and we just kept doing what we were doing. And then a couple of years later, we did the same thing. We shopped again. Okay, surely by now there's got to be something that we could use. And at that point, we're looking at 2015, and we still couldn't justify getting rid of what we had built internally. So we scrapped the entire thing. We used our knowledge and our sort of, our blood, sweat, and tears to scrap it all, start from scratch, and build the Chipley platform with the intention of sharing it with everyone in the industry, because at that point, we needed it badly. We knew that we were going to grow our Burghardt Sporting Goods business substantially utilizing this new technology. And there's no way we would have been able to afford it if we didn't share it. So,
sure.
We really wanted to be able to share it. And it was something that obviously there was a hole and a necessity in the industry. So we scrapped the whole thing and we started the Chipley platform. And then I could continue the story from there.
No, I actually want to back up just a little bit, because I think a lot of our listeners, as we talked about, like before we press record, they're selling print on demand things on Etsy and Amazon, and they probably weren't around before, Chipley, or a lot of them probably weren't around before Chipley even started. So I'm curious, like, explain to our listeners and even us, Travis and Josiah, what problem what, like dive more into the problem that you were trying to solve with Chipley.
Sure.
I mean, I can understand, well, everything's moving to the internet. Well, let's move to the internet. What
Mhm.
were you, what service were you providing that Chipley makes better, I guess?
Yeah. Really good question. So, when I was in school, we would like cut out pieces of a catalog, right? And we would say,
Mhm.
okay, for my gymnastics team, I want to have everybody buy their leotard and their warm up suit, and everybody should have an option to get like a short sleeve t-shirt or a long sleeve t-shirt and a hoodie. So I got like 6 or 8 items, right, that I want everybody to go and order. So the coach or the, I guess captain or whatever would have to go and hand those pieces of paper out to everybody, wait for them to bring back their piece of paper and a check or some sort of way of payment. And then what would happen on the business side of those transactions is somebody would walk into our print shop and say, I've got these 25 pieces of paper, and I've got these 25 checks. Could you please produce all of these things for me? Right. And that situation is like, oh yeah, no, this will be worth it. This is gonna be like $1,000 order or something, which is awesome. And it would take 2 or 3 hours to accumulate all of that information and put it into something more coherent. So the customer did a lot of work to put that together. They had to go harass everybody to get their order in. The business side of it had to do a lot of work too. Sit down and actually make sure they didn't make any mistakes and didn't misspell anybody's name, and actually accumulate, okay, well, here's how many t-shirts I need, here's how many hoodies I need, here's how many leotards I need, etc. Now you've got this big giant project on your hands, right? So the accumulation of data is the first step. The second step would be to put together that piece of paper, right, that said, okay, these are the items that you're buying. And then actually making sure those items are available and making sure that you can order those items, and taking it all the way through to, okay, well, who's going to sort them back out and know, like, what did Lynn actually order specifically? Right. So the Chipley platform takes even a very simple order, even though it might not seem like that big of a deal. Let's say it is like family reunion t-shirts, and streamlines the entire process from the eyes of the consumer, but then also from the eyes of the person doing the actual work.
Yeah, just the logistics are a lot easier to do internally. And I'd imagine, it's a lot easier to say, with a link or, a store, you can say, this is actually what you're getting. It's not just, hey, we're going to do some t-shirts and some hoodies and we're going to have our school logo on them and they're going to look great.
Right. Trust
hard
me.
to communicate. Yeah, trust me, as opposed to giving them an actual mock-up of what the thing's going to look like. That reduces the friction of that sale just a little bit as well. So that I can see how that really does solve a huge problem for both the consumer and for the producer.
Yeah, and so now if you springboard that into this current day and age, now you've got that same customer, and you've got the customer that missed their ordering deadline and wants just one, right? And you've got all these others, and you have to say yes to them too.
Enter print on demand.
Enter print on demand, baby. We all have to do it now. We have no choice. But so, anybody can, I always, say when I'm teaching people how to use our platform, or, convincing them that they can make a lot more money by doing less work, is that anybody can build a website. Anybody can put a shirt or a mug or whatever on Etsy or, Shopify or whatever. That's all, we can all do it, right? We can all fake it. And I feel like a lot of people that are getting into the print on demand industry are just solving the problem, right? And then they might be sort of faking it, and it works. But if you really want to start doing, saying a lot more yeses and creating a lot more business for yourself, then you have to be able to overcome some of the hard parts or the bottlenecks. So deciding what product to put on your web store, mocking it up properly so that the logo fits correctly on your garment, without having to use an artwork program to make that happen. Checking live inventory to make sure that whatever you are going to offer on your store is actually available and that you can fulfill that order. And then being able to execute the plan. So if a customer says, "Hey, I want to offer t-shirts to my robotics club," or whatever, random example, but a good one, because those kids like spearwear too, man. So somebody says, "Hey, I want to offer t-shirts to my robotics club." Okay, well, you've automatically got an order that's going to be like $250 or whatever. You might have 12 t-shirts or whatever, and you can change that conversation so quickly just by being armed with the correct tools, and say, "Are you sure you just want to offer t-shirts, man? Because here's what I could do for you." And we could offer, name brand stuff. We can offer shirts and hoodies. And has anybody else been asking for those beanie hats I know are really popular in Colorado right now? And turn it into a website without doing any more work. In fact, probably doing less work. And then let the customers go on, order their own stuff, make it so easy for the person that is having that conversation with you, that it makes everybody think they did a lot of work and they didn't. Makes everybody think you did a lot of work and you didn't. And all of a sudden we're utilizing the tools that we have in place, where I'm not even writing up a list of products anymore. I'm actually not even logging into my business website to place a purchase order. I'm doing it all with a click, all the way from the very beginning of, something that could have been a very small customer interaction and the satisfied customer, to a much, much larger customer interaction and a totally 100% gung-ho customer interaction without actually having done any more work at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome. So
it's very exciting for me.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. Who would you say? I know we always talk about, as far as business, when you're developing a business, you think of your avatar, your ideal customer. So for Chipley, who is that ideal customer that you envision walking through the door when you develop the software?
I think the Chipley platform is built for small, large, medium, doesn't matter what size business you're in. Anybody that wants to do something with automation and technology and actually has a passion to say yes to what their customers or their community is demanding, and still be able to viably make money in this industry. I don't care what you're selling. You can be selling sublimated mugs like we talked about earlier, or you can be selling hundreds of different t-shirt options. It doesn't matter. If you want to make it easy for yourself and do ultimately less work, then the Chipley platform is definitely built for you. You kind of have to see the light though.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask a follow-up question to that. Is this do you have anything built into Chipley where they can outsource the production, or is it specifically for somebody who is doing their own production, no matter what type of thing they're doing, but they at least have to be, making mugs, and then they can use mugs on the Chipley, platform? How does that work?
Yeah, so the way that the platform is used the best is for people that aren't stocking any of this product at all. Or if they're stocking it, it doesn't matter if they have it or not. They're going to end up either pulling it from their own inventory or ordering it after the fact. So we don't want to necessarily say, hey, you have to stock thousands of these t-shirts or mugs or whatever in your location to be able to offer them on a web store. Don't stock anything at all. Forget it. Just offer things that are available. We'll help you make sure that they're available through the life of your store. And then the flexibility is to be able to fulfill those orders however you want. So you could either produce your work order and, ship to PO internally if you do have your own shop, or you could farm it out at the end anyway. So you're going to manage sort of everything as the orders are being accumulated or coming in, and then you can farm them out using your local, somebody locally that you lean on for print production or embroidery or whatever it is that you're doing. Or you could use a decoration network too. So we are actually working on an integration with stalls right now. That'll be coming out in the next 2 months, which really fits into your print on demand world because they're doing they're coming out with a lot of new products and stuff over there. I know a ton of people in the industry buy things from stalls, whatever they are, whether it's equipment
We do.
or cool. So whether it's equipment or grip, heat transfer material, or like they have their Ultramax.
We use the Ultramax all the time.
Oh, so this is perfect, Travis. So direct to film is obviously the way of the future, right? We're all talking about it. So we've been working with Josh at Stalls to come up with a way to make so let's say you have a web store and you're expecting to get lots of like one particular screen print logo that you offered, and maybe just a few come in, and we want to be able to justify producing those few and not canceling those orders, right? We want to actually do them. So we want to be able to automatically submit those films directly to Stalls and have them deliver the next day or 2 day, whatever your ship is, directly from Stalls. So you can order submit from Stalls or from Chipley to Stalls. Stalls ship directly to your location, and then you're just doing your own heat transfer internally, ship it out to your customer. Done.
How do you get around like they're pretty finicky when it comes to their art? Are you going to have something in Chipley that makes sure that art is 300 DPI, it's the right, all of that stuff at the actual dimensions that they wanted on the goods, the final goods?
Yeah, that's an awesome question, because we did work hard to make sure we could work around that. So we're going to deploy the technology in phase 1, which will just be to have pre-configured artwork that they will give you a 6-digit code that says this is the artwork that I want. You would have uploaded it to Stalls and let it go through their algorithm to make sure your art is approved ahead of time, and then go ahead and submit it through Chip.
That makes sense. So it's already approved, basically.
Yeah, it's already approved artwork that you're going to order. Phase 2 would be to iframe that inside of the Chipley technology, so that if you don't want to go outside to Stalls and then back into the Chipley platform, you would be able to get that art ping approved directly, still using their technology and their algorithm, but right inside the platform.
That's huge. You guys are that's a really cool feature.
Yeah, that Ultramax stuff is awesome.
It's legit. Yeah. It also it leads really good into our next question. Is I think we all, like, I've been to a lot of trade shows. I see a lot of online store builders. I use Deco Network. That's what we use as a shop management tool, but it also has that online store builder. So I guess the obvious question is, what does Chipley differ in what ways does Chipley differ from other online store builders, and how is it better? Because I know it's better because we're talking to the president of the company.
Well, I'm always going to say it's better because I am the president of the company, but also because we invented this technology. Aside from giving you like a full Chipley demonstration, which I've be more than happy to do. I can tell you just, in a couple ways that sort of story that I just told about converting the conversation from a simple order into something much more profitable without doing any additional work is sort of the story behind how we have been building and continuing to grow the Chipley platform. So we want you to be able to do a lot of things really magically without actually doing any work. So a lot of shops, maybe you could speak to this yourselves a little bit, but a lot of shops are restricting their ability to expand this web store side of their business because there are bottlenecks and difficulties that they have faced in the past or that they anticipate facing going forward that we have to be able to eliminate. So some of them are building the web store. So a lot of people will say, okay, I'm going to restrict you to 5 to 10 products that you can offer on your web store for whatever the customer is, right? I'm going to offer fewer products. I'm going to restrict the colors that you can offer on your web store. So if you're going to do, you're doing school spirit wear, we're going to do red and white or red and black. We're not going to do like red, white, black, gray, etc. We're going to sort of narrow it down. And by doing that, you're sort of squishing your customer into this little corner that doesn't allow you to offer youth sizes or ladies apparel or all of these other things that can take that existing relationship that you already have and turn it into a sale that's 50% more profitable and, with 50% more volume or more, and turn it into something where you're able to say, you know what, I think we should do this on a web store versus like, oh boy, I'm gonna have to sit down and I'm gonna have to use my current platform to build a web store. It's gonna take me X amount of time. And I don't even know if it's going to be profitable because, and now I'm doing all this work for something I don't really know what the result will be. Versus let's flip the whole conversation to, I'm going to make sure that this is worthwhile. Let's offer lots of products on our web store. And the way that the Chipley platform can justify that for you is by automating all of those things that take you a lot of time right now. So if you're using a different platform, you're probably taking a lot of time building the site, which means putting products on it and putting imagery on it. All of that's completely automated in Chipley. Pricing is automated using your own pricing structure. You can stand up a 50 or 60 piece web store with 300 images on it in 10 minutes. And I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Not only that, though, that's only half the battle, right? Because remember, we can all build a web store using whatever we want. But if we do that, then are we shooting ourselves in the foot? And are we going to be screwed when we can't get the, the items that we ordered because now they're not available. Now I have to deal with back orders, and the whole thing is a huge pain in the ass. I'd rather just forget about the whole thing. I don't even want that customer. Forget it. Versus no, right? Let's offer things that are available. Let's let the Chipley platform automate the inventory management for me. So that I don't have to worry about running into lots of back orders. I can offer things that are available and that exist, that I'm confident, and then I can shut that web store and I can literally hit submit on a purchase order and not even enter any data on my Sandmar or my SMS or my Alpha Broker B2B. I can literally just submit a PO without doing any extra work. So I long-winded, but the answer is justifying doing, making bigger, more robust web stores without having to do any more work. In fact, probably doing substantially less work throughout the entire process.
Sure. And these web stores that people open, can they stay open indefinitely? Do they have, is it more cause driven where they're trying to, like you said, if someone's doing a dance recital or whatever, or family reunion, and they open up the store for a specific window, is that an option, or does it stay open indefinitely? How does that work?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So Chipley was built from the beginning with 2 different options for that. One is group stores, which is when you leave the store open for a week or 10 days or whatever, and then you shut it down and you produce everything in bulk. The other one we call a catalog store, but it's used for print on demand, or it's used for stores that you want to keep open all the time. So with a catalog store, you can either tell the system to batch each and every order as it comes through. So if you just want to produce it, press it, send it, produce it, press it, send it, that's totally fine to do. And the system will trigger those orders for you. Or you can combine them at your leisure. So let's say you're going to do an open all the time store. But you want to make it a little bit more efficient than one order at a time, and maybe produce orders every 3 days or once a week. You can also schedule those like open all the time stores to batch at your convenience. So whatever makes sense for your shop, it's all totally doable. And people are using the software in both ways for sure.
Yeah. So the way we do it here at Make Your Mark Design, the way we use Deco primarily is the second way you talked about, like, because we'll get somebody who like is an influencer or whatever, and they just want to have a store that they can, push their YouTube audience to buy their merch. And so we'll create a store for them in Deco, and then as those orders come through, it pushes it to production for us as they come in. Is that similar to what that particular feature of Chipley does?
Yep, it sounds about the same on the catalog store side. So the difference being that we're managing inventory behind the scenes for you by connecting directly to the distributor vendor network for you, and helping you stand up those stores more quickly and manage them over time. So yeah, probably the most similar to the catalog feature.
Yeah. So follow-up questions too. One, how many stores can you have open at the same time? And secondarily, the next question would be, as Travis mentioned, Deco is primarily used for influencers that have a YouTube audience that want to push or what have you, and you can give them their own set of login credentials. You can give them access to their store to upload their designs, and they don't have access to anyone else's stores at all. It's just theirs. They can see everything that they're doing, and that's it. Is that a functionality that Chipley has to where if someone, like, let's say a Make Your Mark design says, yeah, we have influencers that we sign up and we want to open catalog stores for them, but we want them to have, login user permissions to see what they're doing and track their sales and whatnot, and upload their art. Is that a functionality that Chipley has as well?
Yes and no. So to answer your first question, you can have as many stores open as you want. There's no limit to that. So it doesn't matter. Do whatever you want. You can even experiment with it, and you don't pay for a store that doesn't get used either. So a lot of times people are building stores as an example or as a sales tool, and then just delete it or get rid of it. It's not a big deal. So your other question, do they have login access? So they will have login access, but only for viewing. So they can see orders that have come in. They can see, if it's a fundraiser, they can see profitability. They can see what's going on over time, but they can't make changes or upload additional features to the site without your permission.
Okay, so if someone wants to add a new design, let's say they have to go through you guys in order for that to happen, essentially.
Well, no, they have to go through you guys.
Yeah.
So Chipley doesn't have to be part of it at all, but yes, but we don't want, or typically the feedback that we've gotten is that decorators don't necessarily want the customer to have that much autonomy or control over the situation, because then they're going to go nuts and they're going to do things that are not possible. Then all of a sudden you're selling things that you can't actually fulfill. So we want to give you a little bit more control over the situation than that. Chipley does have a feature called Requester Store, which typically we're just using, or people are just using it as a sales tool now to say, like, here's a website, here's what websites look like, here's, a good sales tool to use them. But it also is a total web store builder. So you could put a Requester Store in the hands of an influencer and say, pick the 20 products that you want to offer on your web store. Tell us what logo you'd like to use, and then submit that. And that becomes a store request inside your back end of the platform. And you just hit a button that says make a store, and it makes the store using their input. So people don't use it that much unless the customer really wants that much hands-on control, like maybe influencers do probably, or like dance team kids usually want a lot more say over it. Otherwise, the majority of customers these days, they're looking for your guidance. So they want you to say, well, yeah, of course I want the t-shirt and the hoodie and the sweatshirt and the blah, blah, blah. And then you can immediately change the conversation into, well, how about we offer these 50 items on your web store? Does that sound good?
Sure.
And go from there.
Sure.
Well, as we're winding down this part of the interview, I'm curious, like, what are some of the plans that Chipley has for the future of your platform? Like, do you have anything do you have a roadmap of new things you're going to be offering, or new kind of features that will be available on the Chipley platform?
Yeah. I'll try and answer that without being too vague, but there's always a million things on the roadmap, and our developers have job security because there's always a long list of things that we'd like to do. So in the next couple months, we'll be deploying that stalls integration. We'll be continuing vendor integrations. So we've got a ton of inventory integrations, and we're adding to that purchase order that I sort of alluded to, integration to be able to just submit a PO So we'll be adding vendors on that side, and then we'll be adding some specific tools just to help expedite the some of the things that take a little bit longer than we think they should. Some of that has to do with using store templates or arrays of products. We want to be able to have a lot more flexibility there and allow people to do a lot more templated store building based on their habits or best habits or best practices.
Yeah.
And then just to continue to eliminate bottlenecks. So
Sure.
now that we have automated purchasing, we want to be able to help people receive items more efficiently and sort of take that all the way to the finish line in their shops.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, if you go to chipley.com/integration, you can see all the suppliers that Chipley automatically integrates with. There's Alpha Broder, there's SNS, there's Sanmar, kind of all the usual suspects, a ton more. Augusta Sportswear, Delta, Rawlings, Under Armour, Adidas. You can check that out. And then they also have their integrated partners as far as like ShipStation, Shopworks, Printavo, and some of those other. There you go. There's a nice little screen grab that Josiah pulled up in the last minute. Man, he's good. But you can take a look at that. Yeah. So I love that one-click PO. Especially if you have like, you've got a store open for a school, their basketball, is cheerwear or whatever, or spirit wear, and it closes, you hit the one-click PO and it goes to wherever you got that stuff and it's on the way almost immediately. That's a very underrated feature, I think, because otherwise you've got to go through that thing and you got to add all of that to cart. Make sure you got the sizes right, make sure you got the colors right, and inevitably you're going to get it wrong. So that's a great integration to have. So I just wanted to share that with our listeners. So I guess the obvious question to probably some of our listeners, if not to me, is, and I know they can kind of look at the pricing online, but will you just share a little bit about pricing and like how that works and what that looks like if somebody would want to get involved with Chipley?
Yeah, absolutely. So Chipley only makes money when you make money. So it's and it's easy to justify trying this type of business out. I know a lot of smaller shops or people that are doing this type of business using third-party decorators or working from home out of their garage or basement doesn't seem like it's worthwhile, but it's really, really easy to do a web store and not worry so much about what you're charging the customer because pricing is less of an issue. So on the Chipley side, we charge a 3.5% Chipley fee, which includes all features, including that purchase order submit. The 3.5% fee is on the product and its process. So like what you're going to make money on. So if you're going to charge your customer $10 for a t-shirt, including the print, that's what you pay your Chipley fee on. So you know exactly what to expect. It's not, we don't charge a Chipley fee at all on everything else. So if you're also making it a fundraiser, so your YouTube guys that want to mark up their t-shirt to $25, that extra $15 you do not pay a Chipley fee on at all. That's a huge difference between other
that is a big difference.
Platforms. That we know that you're not making money on fundraising, so we aren't making money either. So that's how the Chipley fee works. And then of course there's credit card processing fees that you have to pay no matter where you're doing a web store. So you want to make sure that you account for that either in your margin or by adding a handling fee to your shopping cart.
Okay.
Does that help?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
For sure.
Fantastic.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool stuff. I'm intrigued. I'm like, this is really cool.
Well, now
Makes
you
me
definitely
wanna,
have to. You made me do this. Now you have to let me teach you how to use Chipley, right?
Makes me want to like go out and like, just go cold call a bunch of high schools in the area or something,
Yeah, I mean, it works for customers you already have that you can turn into much bigger customers. I can tell you that. And then there's so much more opportunity there.
This will be the final question before we go into the magic questions.
Okay.
And we're already way over, but I don't care because this is intriguing to me and I love it. What tip or like what advice would you give to somebody who is going to use Chipley in the marketplace, like who should they be soliciting? How should they go about trying to get customers? So somebody's listening to this podcast and like, that's a great idea. I'm so stoked. What's their first, what's the first thing they need to do, Lynn?
Boy, when you're talking about using Chipley, I think that, the biggest piece of advice I can give is just embrace what the customer wants, and then take a few minutes to actually set up the conversation so that you don't get yourself into a situation that isn't worth your while. So we want to make sure that we're doing work that's worthwhile. So if you know that a customer is going to come to you and say, hey, can I do a web store? And you're like, oh yeah, sure. And they come with a Sanmar catalog. It's got like 57 tabs in it. And, like now you're already screwed and you're like, oh, I wish I didn't have this conversation to begin with. But if you take a few minutes and say, all right, how am I going to present this? How can I make sure that it's a total win for everybody? Customer's going to be completely and totally satisfied, and I'm going to be doing business that I want to be doing. It's worth my while, and I'm going to make money doing it. To just set up sort of that story or that best practices before you go out and get yourself sort of behind the 8 ball is really important to make sure that you get excited about it. Then going forward, you get excited about doing web stores instead of dreading them, which a lot of people still do.
Yeah.
I forget, Josiah, did we ever determine if we had a golden nugget sound effect that we would play when something awesome was spoken on the podcast?
Yes, we did, and I'm going to find it.
You got to find it.
Let's do this, because this was the same sound.
The more you know. I was thinking
Love
more along the lines of something like this. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my other piece of advice about like print on demand generally would have been like charge enough money to cover
Charge
it.
enough money. Okay.
So many people don't charge enough for this service. It's not easy business. You have to charge enough. So then yours works really good for that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
That was awesome. Fair enough.
All right. Well, let's move into the portion of the show that we do with every guest. Ask them a set of questions that we call the magic questions. All right. So, Travis, I'll let you take the first magic question.
Okay, so tell us about a time when something happened in your business. Specifically, let's narrow this to Chipley. Something happened in your business that felt like a failure.
Oh.
You know what? I'm actually going to take that off because obviously you do production in your other business. So any business, something happened in any of your businesses that felt like a failure.
Okay. So I don't know, when a customer isn't ready to make a change and I really want them to, and I know Chipley's right for them, I always feel like I'm failing. But I'm going to keep trying. But I'll tell you a really funny one. I'm sure you guys have all had this happen to you in some way, shape, or form on the print side of things. At Burghardt, I'm just thinking of this now. So we printed shirts for our own business, and they went through the whole art proof process and set up screens and print like 1,000 of these shirts. And we printed the word anniversary and it said anniversary. And we didn't figure it out.
Charged.
Yeah, we didn't figure it out until we handed out probably like hundreds of these t-shirts. So I'm sure you can all feel that pain, right? I mean,
yes.
Yeah. No, we have a strict proofreading process now.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
Been there, done that.
Yes. Yeah. Many times. Many times.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. Let's see. So which one should we ask next here? If you had to, well, let's go with this. Burghardt is, you said, in the family, and you are a fifth generation. So throughout your career, whether it's with Chipley, whether it's Burghardt, how important has mentoring relationships and training been for you? And do you have some of those folks that you can look back and say, this person was definitely a mentor that helped me get to where I am, even if it's not in the same industry, but have really helped kind of shape the businesswoman that you are today?
Oh, absolutely everybody that I have met, good, bad, or otherwise. There have been some hugely influential people, especially when I was first starting out in this business. And you can ask your family so many questions, but you got you got to like step out there and ask other people that are outside of your bubble. What are they doing? How are they doing it? I mean, definitely taken advice from lots of people in lots of different realms. I know, really actually before I started working at Burghardt's, my brother and my dad went out to visit Lou's Sporting Goods and got some advice about their print shop. And that was back in the 90s. And I think that was a really big game changer for our business even back then. And then that just sort of dovetails into every single little thing that we've done to improve our business has come from somebody else guiding us. What machine should we buy? We bought a CTS machine probably 7 or 8 years ago, and that was, it was a total game changer. That thing is amazing. That for sure, talking to other people in the industry is the most important thing. And now I get to do this other fun part where I get to pretend I know more than I probably do.
Don't we all?
That's
that's like the bedrock of our podcast.
I know,
pretending like we know way more than we actually do.
I know. We're not supposed to tell people that.
Oh, not. Dang it. Oh, you know what? I feel like our audience probably knows that by now.
Yeah,
I'm
they
much
have
better
to.
at learning than I am teaching, but I love we have a lot of dealers come visit us now, and not because we're the best at what we do, because the collaboration is so killer. It's so fun to spend a day with somebody and just sort of walk through the processes and be like, well, how do you do it? How come you're not doing it this way?
Yeah, totally.
Just
so do you go to a lot of trade shows? And kind of obviously Chipley goes to these trade shows to produce or to say, hey, this is what we do. But is there a networking element to it for you personally?
Oh, 100%. I mean, when we first started selling Chipley, I would go to those trade shows with sort of two different shirts, right? So I would have stay behind the booth and wear my red shirt, and then I would go and actually troll the sales floor and be the customer. And I still do it today. I still walk the sales floor and come up with ideas that I bring back home. Talking to people and making sure that I'm bringing home some level of knowledge. We always go. We have this thing. We started it a long time ago that if you go to a trade show and you want to make it worthwhile, you don't have to learn everything, right? You just have to come home with one big thing. Just come home with one good idea. And if you can actually implement the one good idea, then you made the trip worthwhile.
Yep. Implementing one good idea is better than getting 100 good ideas.
Yeah, and it's not easy to implement even one good idea. Right. But if you just stick to one, just keep it simple, then you can really change a lot of stuff about your business.
All right, one last question. Normally we ask the crystal ball question, and our normal listeners, will know what that question is. But I feel like because your business has been around for so long, I'm going to pivot and I'm going to ask this question. If you had to start all over and lost all of your current contacts, what would you do first?
I probably would quit, I think. Man, that would suck. But I would think about quitting, and I would probably put my big girl pants on and go out and start networking in my own local community and just start talking to people again and making, I guess, start doing what people want me to do and doing the right thing. I guess, you have to brace yourself to not make money for a while at least, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starting over would be a total bummer, but people do it all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, again, Lynn, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to chat with us and come on the show. I can say for me, this has been really, really awesome because going into this, we didn't really know what Chipley was. I mean, we had a limited interaction there in Long Beach,
Yep.
but before I give you a chance to kind of let everyone know where they can find you, where does the name Chipley come from?
Oh, I love this question. So we thought long and hard about the name of this business, and we wanted it to be flexible, and we wanted it to be inclusive, and we wanted to give a shout out to the people that put a lot of their sweat equity into it. It ended up that Chip is my dad's name.
Okay.
And he was a big advocate and an angel investor from the beginning, and also one of my very best friends. So his name is Chip. My name is Lynn, which is the Ly part of Chipley, and that's
Nice.
That's
I love
cool.
it. Yeah, that's very, very cool. I love it.
Very in the family. I love that. I love the
oh,
family
it's
business
all
model.
it's
That's
all in the
beautiful.
family around
Yeah.
here. Yep.
For better or for worse.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Lynn, yeah, take a second and let everyone listening know where they can find you guys on social media if they want to learn more about the software, where they can find you, and yeah, just let them know where to find you.
Yeah, I think the best way to look us up is just go to chipley.com. There's lots of videos and lots of tutorials. There's also a become a dealer request that you can submit, and we respond immediately to that, and you can get hooked up with a live demo that same day.
Fantastic.
Super easy.
Yeah. Very easy. I love it. Well, again, thank you for taking time to chat with us, and we look forward to running into you guys in Fort Worth, the next trade show, wherever it is.
Yeah.
And we're gonna find Chris, and we're gonna make him give us
you
that
better.
name joke.
I'm gonna give him a
we
hard
are.
time.
You have to
I
give
will.
him a directive of like the next trade
I
show you
will.
see those guys at.
I'll tell him to start practicing his dad jokes.
Yeah, exactly. Just have one ready to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, and it was great chatting with you. We look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Yeah. Thank you. That was a lot of fun, guys.
Well, we want to thank Lynn again for taking time out of her schedule to come on the show. And she said after we pressed stop or just ended recording or what have you, that we were a lot of fun. So I feel like we lived up to the
Yay.
reputation that was preceding us, which I could have figured a reputation of some sort preceded either one of us at any given time in our lives. But fun is a nice one to have. I feel like that's one that I can claim. So no, but it was great, man. And to your point in the intro, digging in a little bit more into the interview, it was really, really cool to hear her story. And I know you'll
Yeah.
talk about this, in this portion here, and I'll kind of tee it up for you. But so before we press record, she said, "I don't do this often. This isn't my thing. This is kind of like an extracurricular thing for her. It's not something she frequently does." And then she proceeded to just it was so educational. She was not short of anything to say in terms of the questions we asked, but a lot of that, I would say, is a credit to the passion she has for the
You're right.
industry that she's in.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I told her when we stopped recording. I said, "Man, I was just so impressed by Lynn's passion for this industry. She's just so excited. You could tell as she just, would share this feature, that feature, whatever, and
Yeah.
all those things. It was really, really fun interviewing her because she's just she lights up a room with her passion for printing and the
Yeah.
things that her product does. And I told her, I was like, "Hey, it's like looking in a mirror," and she was like, "Yeah, we kind of have the same length of hair too." So I thought that was kind of fun. But no, she was great. And just so you guys know, this isn't a we don't have an affiliate for Chipley. I think it's a
Right.
really cool product. I use Deco. I told her afterwards, maybe since the cool thing about Chipley is they don't charge you unless you actually use the
Right.
product,
Right.
and you could have as many stores as you want. And unless those stores are getting sales, you're not paying anything. I
Right.
think there's a setup fee or something like that. But
Yeah, it's a one time. I think according to the
Yeah.
website, it's like $1,000 one time setup fee. I
yeah.
think.
And then after that, you're only paying when people get sales. So it might make sense for us. And I told her this, to look at that for some additional or kind of varied income or varied revenue. It's basically it's not 100% what we always do, but I could see that becoming a very valuable resource. If you join the chamber, for example, and you start networking in your area, and all of a sudden you have the ability to create stores like that super easy. And it, it's not costing you anything except like a processing fee. I think ultimately it's like 2.9 and 30 cents for everything. And then another 3.5. I mean, you're under 6% most likely for every single, product that you sell. And you have this incredible ability to serve your customer really, really well. I'm definitely going to do a Chipley demo and then I'm very excited to, hang out with with them, when we go to Fort Worth, Long Beach Fort Worth ISS, later this year and see how things are going from there. But, super, super fun interview and, can't say enough about her passion, for the industry. It's super cool.
Yeah, it's definitely infectious, which I think it lends itself when someone obviously that is the president of a company is passionate about it, but also as a head of sales, you're interacting with potential clients, just like that enthusiasm is infectious to where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna give it a shot because you have convinced me, Lynn. You know what I mean? Like I haven't touched the product, but I'm gonna give it a shot. So big thanks to her. Be sure to go check all that they have to offer out. Again, that's chipley.com that you can go to kind of see the pricing, some of the features, who they integrate with, and contact them. So that's the best place to go and reach out to them. But the best place to reach out to us,
attention hotline fans,
is of course, Facebook group. printondemandcast.com/Facebook is where you can go to join the conversation, the community, and join the fun. It's been a lot of fun to see the interaction here in the Facebook community as well. So please go and join that. You have to answer the questions. I've said that once. I'll say it probably every time I bring this up. But just answer the questions so we know you are who you say you are and that you're not just trying to collect Facebook groups arbitrarily, which is a thing that people do, which is very confusing to me, and I will never understand it. Another place you can find us is Instagram, printondemandcast.com/Instagram. You can also find us there. You can also find us printondemandcast.com/YouTube is where you can go to check out these episodes in video format and watch us if you don't have Spotify and watch the madness that happens here each and every week. Watch all the fun.
And I mean, just so you know, we are very attractive.
Yeah, so that's a plus. We're easy on the eyes. Depending on the day. Depending on what that day's been like. We'll just say that as well. But wherever there are podcasts, the PODcast is there for you as well. So all your major podcast platforms is where you can go to find us, subscribe, like, press whatever, download, all the things you have to do to listen to us on a weekly basis. But do us a favor, if you happen to be listening on the Apple Podcast app, leave us a review. Let us know what you think of the show, your favorite guest, your favorite topic, things you'd like to hear, your favorite dad joke. Are we attractive? That's what kind of stuff that we want to know in these Apple Podcast reviews. And then share this show. If you have someone that needs to know about Chipley, if you think it's a really cool software solution and you want to share it with someone that might be in the business, or maybe it's not a right fit for you, but you found it to be really educational and it might be a right fit for your friend, share the link, text it, Facebook it, whatever you have to do. But we would love for you to help us get the word out there as well. And one thing I will say that I did forget, if you don't like social media, is you can go to info at printondemandcast.com is where you can email us at and reach out to us, or contact form, printondemandcast.com. You can reach out to us there as well. But we look forward to hearing from each and every one of you very soon, as often as we can. And like Travis said, we might be going to Fort Worth. That's in September. Plenty of lead time to know, make plans, come hang out, have a good time. A PRTY, because trade shows are awesome. So Travis, anything else before we wrap the show up?
I don't think so. I think you got it all. Be sure to go to printondemandcast.com, sign up for our newsletter. We send this out every Wednesday and you get an extra dad joke. How about that?
Yeah. You know you want it and you need it in your life. So for Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you next time right here on the Print on Demand Cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you've got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.